You didn't go anywhere. You just stepped through a door they couldn't see. They called it daydreaming. They said you were quiet. But the truth is gentler than they think. Your inner world isn't a small room. It's a whole country. Welcome back to the sanctuary. I'm so glad you're here. If you're new, this is a quiet corner of the internet for INFPs, introverts, and deeply sensitive souls. We don't rush each other here. We light the candle. We pour the tea. We let the silence between sentences be its own kind of conversation. Today, I want to talk to you about something you might have words for yet, but you felt it your whole life. That feeling of living in two places at once. The room you're standing in and the country no one else can see. By the end of this video, my hope is that you'll have language for what's inside you. You'll understand why your imagination runs the way it does. And you'll know the gentle line between an inner world that nourishes you and one that hides you. Before we begin, get cozy, make the tea, pull the blanket up. If you're watching at 11 at night with the lamp low, that's exactly when this video wants to be watched. Your inner world isn't a hideaway, it's a country. Most personality writing describes the INFP as introspective, imaginative. Those words are true, but they're thin. They don't capture what it actually feels like to be inside your own head when no one's watching. Your inner world is layered. There are conversations you've had only with yourself, versions of you who made different choices, people you love rendered in such detail that you sometimes feel closer to them in your imagination than in person. It's not overthinking. It's a country. I have a friend named Maya. She's been quietly building the same imaginary forest world since she was 8 years old. She knows the paths. She knows which trees turn first in autumn. She knows the small wooden bridge where the river bends. She never told anyone about it. In college, a roommate caught her staring at a wall and asked what she was doing. Maya said nothing, because she didn't have language for it. She was, in fact, walking that bridge. She felt embarrassed for years. And then in one quiet evening, she read a description of how INFPs experience their inner world. Whole landscapes, recurring characters, stories that span decades. The relief was almost physical. She wasn't strange. She was made this way. If you've ever felt embarrassed about how rich your imagination is, this might be the moment to soften that. You're not the only one with a country inside. INFPs make up roughly 4 to 5% of the population, which means most people don't experience their interior life at this volume. So when they tell you to stop overthinking, they aren't being cruel. They genuinely don't know what's in there. The two functions that built your country. Personality theory uses something called cognitive functions to describe how a type processes information. For INFPs, two functions do most of the heavy lifting. Together, they build the country your mind lives in. The first one is introverted feeling. We call it FI for short. FI is the inward sense of what feels right and what feels wrong. It's not emotion in the surface sense. It's a deep, internal value system that reads every situation against your own moral compass. This is why decisions take you longer than they take other people. Why small interactions echo for days. Why you can't articulate why something felt off, only that it did. FI is a compass at the center of your country. Everything else is mapped against it. The second one is extraverted intuition. We call it NE. If FI is a compass, NE is a doorway. NE is a function that turns a single observation into 100 possibilities. This is why you cannot watch a stranger across a coffee shop without inventing their entire life. Why a single song lyric can spawn a short story. Why your to-do list becomes a what-if list within 5 minutes. NE keeps swinging the door open. New rooms keep appearing. I have a friend named Iris. For years, she'd drift off mid-conversation and miss what someone just said. She used to apologize. She used to call it her broken brain. She'd say sorry, ask the person to repeat themselves, and feel a small wave of shame each time. Then, she read about NE. She learned her mind wasn't malfunctioning. It was making connections. One phrase had pulled her through 3 columns in her head before the next sentence even started. She stopped apologizing. She started saying, "Say that part again. I want to hear it properly," with no shame attached. FI alone would make you deeply principled, quietly emotional person. NE alone would make you a wandering generator of ideas. Together, they create something different. You don't just imagine, you imagine toward something, toward beauty, toward justice, toward what should be. That's why your inner world feels so populated. It's not noise, it's a working country. What real INFPs say it feels like. When INFPs talk about their inner world, something quietly remarkable happens. They use almost the same language, even though they've never met. They say it feels like a movie they're directing, like a city they've built over decades, like a forest with familiar paths. They describe characters they've carried since childhood, conversations replayed and revised, whole relationships lived out internally before a single word is said aloud. Many describe the moment they first read about the INFP type as a quiet thunderclap. Finally, language for what they'd always felt. The inner world wasn't strange. It was a future of how their mind was built. And there's something the science says about this too. Neuroscientists study what they call the default mode network. It's the set of brain regions that activate when you're not focused on the outside world. The brain on rest, the brain on remembering, imagining, and wondering. Research shows that highly creative, imaginative minds have more traffic between the part of the brain that wanders and the part that organizes. In plain language, your brain has more bridges between dreaming and making meaning. So when you drift off mid-conversation, your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's doing what creative brains do, connecting things that don't seem connected, generating possibilities, building quietly the country you live in. This is why your inner world often feels more honest than the outside one. The outside world is loud. It's full of people who want quick answers and surface level talk. The inner world is quieter. It's where your values lived undiluted, where conversations finish, where you don't have to perform. So if you've ever wondered whether something is wrong with you for needing the inside as much as you do, nothing is wrong. You were built for it. The country is real. The bridges are real. The reason it feels like home is because, in a quiet way, it is. When the country becomes a hiding place, here's a gentle truth nobody else will tell you. Your inner world is a gift. It can also become a place to hide. And this part isn't a moral failing. It's a pattern that grows in the soil of sensitivity and rejection. If you've spent years being told you are too sensitive, the inner world starts to look like the only safe place. The retreat becomes a habit. The habit becomes a life. I have a friend named Ren. A few years ago, she fell into the imagined version of a relationship. Not the person she was dating, but someone she'd built so completely in her head that he had a voice, a laugh, a way he'd reach for her hand on a Sunday morning. For 2 years, that imagined version was where she lived. She talked to him in the shower. She rehearsed conversations on her walk to work. She was in love with someone who didn't exist. And the country in her head was where she went home each night. And one morning, she sat with her tea and noticed something. She was lonelier than she'd ever been. The country had become a hiding place. The doorway had become a wall. The signal that your inner world has shifted from sanctuary to hiding place is usually quiet. You feel guilty when you come back to real life. Real life feels more painful than it should. You start avoiding small actions, not because they're hard, but because they pull you out of the imagined version of yourself who is doing them better. If that's where you are right now, hear me say this. You're not broken. You're a soft-hearted person who built a soft place to survive in. Now, it might be time to gently widen the door. The morning wren chose to live one small unimagined hour. She said it felt strange. The world was louder, less curated, less perfect, but it was hers. And the country was still there when she came back to it that night. Just smaller, just a sanctuary again, instead of a hideaway. Tending the country without losing the outside world. The goal isn't to leave your inner world. Never. The goal is to live in both. I have a friend named Nana. She started a practice she calls one small landed thing. Once a week, she takes one image from her inner world and brings it out. A page of writing, a sketch, a photograph. Just one. She said it felt like building a coastline. The country still exists, but now there's a shore. You can do the same. Imagination that never lands becomes restlessness. But one small landed thing each week gives the country an edge. It gives the inside somewhere to meet the outside. The other gentle thing that helps is anchoring yourself in small sensory moments. The shadow function of the INFP is extroverted sensing. It's a part of your brain that lives in textures and tastes and the warmth of a mug in your hands. INFPs can be so far inside their heads that they bump into door frames. You know what I'm talking about. Sensory anchors don't have to be elaborate. The smell of cardamom in coffee, the weight of a neat blanket, the sound of rain on a window. These small things tether the country in your head to the room you're sitting in. And if a guided structure helps, journaling is the oldest doorway between the two worlds. A morning page, a quiet evening prompt. The act of writing what's inside lets the inside breathe in the open air for a moment. A soft letter before you go. Your inner world is the reason you notice things other people miss. It's where the poems live, the unwritten letters, the kindness you almost said, the version of the world you're quietly hoping for. The world isn't suffering from a shortage of fast thinkers. It's suffering from a shortage of people who can imagine something better and feel it deeply enough to want to build it. That's you. That's always been you. If this video felt like a quiet hand on your shoulder, the weekly letter from the sanctuary is more of the same. Soft, slow, and only when we have something real to say. The link is in the description if you'd like one in your inbox. And if you have a name for the country inside your head, share it with me in one word in the comments section. I read every single one. Take care of yourself. Be soft. I'll see you in the next sanctuary.